Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to my YouTube channel and blog. Today we're doing simple watercoloring Kristina Werner style. So let's go ahead and get into it. So a few days ago, Kristina had a video up where she used this beautiful hand sketched heart that she made a Mother's Day card for. Now this heart in this template is available over on Kristina's blog and I'll make sure to share that below. So I'm going to go ahead and do my version of this. I'm using a Fabriano watercolor paper. This is a block, which I love because I don't have to really tape anything down when I'm just using this to paint directly on. For today though, I need to get this heart on that block. So you will see in this video as well as Kristina's video, in order to transfer this, all you need is a pencil and you're just going to really scribble on that lead onto the back of the paper. Now this is going to give us graphite, which we'll be able to transfer over to the watercolor paper that we're using. I just made sure, because this is a very light pencil, I made sure to go over it quite a few times because I wanted to make sure that I got every one of those detailed lines covered in that pencil. Now, this is such a great way to make an image in watercolor and just transfer it over. It's super, super easy to do, and I would definitely be using this technique a lot more. Now, since I have pretty much all of that covered, again, I just want to make sure I have all the lines done. I'm now going to flip this over onto my paper. Now, in order to hold this in place so it does not shift, I'm going to grab myself some purple tape and just tack this down. Again, this is going to help me make sure I get accurate placement of this heart. Even though I'm going to be cutting this down a little bit later, I do want to kind of make sure it's centered on the paper. So once I have that down and in place, all I have to do is come back with that pencil and trace over the lines. So it's really a simple technique to do. And again, if you had clipboard or something that's royalty free, I don't suggest copying somebody's unless they say that you can. Um, all you have to do is print this out on your printer and then just do the same exact thing, putting some of that pencil on the back of the image and then tracing that image onto your watercolor paper. Now, since I have that all completed, all I have to do is peel back the purple tape, and remember to peel back the tape on itself. And then I have a very light impression of this heart. Now, because I use a very soft lead, it is extremely light, but I did that on purpose because I didn't really want my lines to show too much. I'm just fixing that little line on the bottom, and now I'm going to bring in my watercolor palette. I just purchased this watercolor palette from BLICK, and I absolutely love it. It's very, very vibrant, and it was a good travel companion for me when I ended up leaving home for a couple days. So I'm going to use this one here today. I'm also going to use a finer brush. This is a number 2 black velvet brush, but I also am going to bring in a 4 as well, just to mix up my colors. Now, Kristina used some beautiful colors. I believe hers were like a really soft lilac. I'm going to go a little bit more intense with mine because I like a great saturation of color. So as you can see here, I'm just building myself up a little palette. Now, I will say that this palette here, which I'll make sure to link below, almost has a chalky consistency to it. So it's, to me, it's not like tube paint. It has more of a chalky consistency, so it dries back very, very quickly. So as you can see, I'm just bringing myself in a very pretty pink, and then I'm going to do a nice wash of green. What's handy about this watercolor palette is that you do have a lot of space to mix out colors. And that's a big go-to for me, especially when I'm traveling. I want to be able to have enough room to blend colors or put colors down, to swatch out. And this has a great area. As you can see, it has 4 little wells, one being a little bit longer. But as you can see by some of the staining on there, I've been able to mix out a lot of colors on this. Now, since I have that green down, I do want to mix me a nice shade of blue, and that's going to be for the background of this flower. So I'm just going to try to get all of my colors already pre-mixed And then if I have to add water to them a little bit later, that will be fine, but at least I can see the color palette that I have. So I'll just get a little bit more of that blue down, and then we'll go ahead and start the coloring process. Remember, if you don't want a watercolor, you can do this with any medium that you want. I am going to switch to my smaller brush, and I do want to zoom in on this because from this distance, you really can't see that heart. So I'm going to zoom in, and now you can see it. And I went ahead and I sped this up because it's just simple watercoloring. So I'm going across that banner first with that beautiful pink shade. And I'm just making sure whatever I paint is not like right next to each other. So I'm not going to paint directly on that pink line because I don't want anything to bleed. Now, it did take me about maybe 20 minutes or so to paint this, but it's really simple watercoloring. It's kind of like mindless, which I really, really enjoy doing because then it just keeps me from focusing on other things. And it's just a really simple thing to do when you don't want to be too cumbersome in your artwork. Now I'm just coming in with that pretty blue, and I'm just going around the heart. I just needed to see the definition of the heart before I went any further. So I'm just coloring that in, and now I'm coming into the middle of those daisies and that other two flowers on here with just a pretty light wash of yellow. Next, I'm going to dry this back because I'm going to be putting that purple right next to that yellow. I did not want it to bleed. So again, like I said, this is just really simple watercoloring, and I love the fact that Kristina allowed us to get this template from her because this is original design by her, and I thought it was so awesome that she was able to share it so we can make our own versions of this. Next, I'm coming in, I'm finishing off some of those leaves. I will dry this back, and now I'm going to fill in the rest of the heart with that blue wash. This is something, like I said, easy to do. You don't really have to worry about it because it kind of looks like you hand drew this anyway. I have that first layer down, and now I'm going to go back in and darken that up. I really want that blue to be a little bit darker. And now I can go ahead and just fill in the rest of this. Once this was dried back, I decided to add a little bit more of the depth of those flowers. So I'm coming in with the yellow, the purple, and the green again. Going around one more time, and then I can go ahead and heat set that. Now at this point, I just wanted to add my own little white circles. So I'm using a number 10 jelly roll pen for this and just adding some details. Now I will say I'm glad I came back into doing videos with something like this because I have not made a video in about a month because we have had a substantial amount of deaths in our family. We had 3 deaths every single month since February. So my mind wasn't really engaged in a lot. So just doing this simple Mother's Day card really gave me the opportunity to flow back into creating. Now, since my heart is done, Kristina had hand lettered I believe Happy Mother's Day. I'm not a hand letterer. That is not one of my skills. So instead of getting ready to wreck this heart, I just grabbed an older W+9 stamp set that had the word mom in there. I'm going to go ahead and pull this piece of paper off that block. Again, I love, love, love using these blocks. And then I can go ahead and trim this down. But before I do that, I do want to stamp my greeting. So I'm going to grab my larger Misty because this is a larger piece of paper. And I'm going to go ahead and place it down and put my magnets on. Now, to make sure I get that mom directly in the middle of that banner, I'm going to grab the acetate sheet that this mom stamp set comes on. So just the top part of that. So anytime you buy acrylic stamps, you have a front part that usually has the design on it, and then you have a back part. I'm just grabbing that back part. I'm bending that mom to fit right inside that banner. Now, once I have it in the placement where I want it, I can go ahead and close my Misty lid. And this is going to ensure me that that mom is going to be exactly where I want it on that banner. And that's a great tip anytime you want to stamp something and you just want to see the placement actually before you stamp anything down. So I'm using VersaFine Black Onyx ink today, and I just want to tap that just a few times, and then close my MISTI lid. Now this paper is cold press paper, so it does have a little bit of texture to it. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that one more time. But look how beautiful that mom looks, because I can't hand letter. So this is like my little cheat way to get it done. All right, now since I have that down, I went ahead and matted this on a piece of black paper, cardstock, and I did trim this down quite a bit because I just wanted to get my heart centered on that paper. Now, this little tool that I'm using is no longer available, but I do believe Memory Keepers makes one now, and they're just called layering rulers. So this makes sure I have an even 1/16 of an inch all the way around that black. Now I am going to come in with a card base, and as you can see, the card base is a lot bigger. So I'm just going to take a little bit off the bottom once I glue this down. Now I did not want to have like a white border around the black border, so I cut it down that it would be the width of a regular card panel, but I'm just going to trim off the bottom. So I use my ATG gun for that. And then I'm using my grid is helping me rather to go ahead and get that down evenly. So once I have one of the edges, I'll go ahead and press down. And now I have a perfect layered card. Now I am, like I said, going to come in and trim off the bottom of that. I do now have a guillotine style tonic cutter, which I'm actually falling in love with. So I'm just going to bump that right up to that black line and then go ahead and press down to get through all of those layers. And now I have a card that's a smidget smaller than your normal 4.5 by, or 4.25 by 5.5. I am going to bring in some of these matted enamel dots, and these are from Doodlebug, which is like my favorite company when it comes to pretty bright enamel dots. And I like that these are matte, not shiny. And it kind of keeps with the simplicity of this card and the softness of the coloring I did. Now, once I had those on, I was like, really don't like that. I want to add some pink into this. So I'm going to kind of just rearrange some of these enamel dots. And because I didn't like press them into place yet, I'm able to just quickly slide them off and put them back on the packaging. And then I can slide in new ones. So I'm going to add a purple there and then finally finish up with the pink. And that's going to finish off my card. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and make sure to like this card. Thanks again, Kristina, for all your help on making a beautiful Mother's Day card. Everybody have a great day, and I'll see you back here soon. Take care. Bye-bye.